I think that Judge Jackson got it. I think she understood the significance of Mr. Young's actions, not just in what he did to me, but the totality of the circumstances involving his participation that day, and his role in the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th, as well as many of the elected officials and members of our government who continue to perpetrate lies and peddle misinformation about that day and about the 2020 election. Yeah, it wasn't just Kyle Young. I've said before, like his actions, Daniel Rodriguez, the defendant in which he handed the stun gun to, or the taser to, as well as the other individuals that were involved in assaulting me that day, they were all catalysts for the, untimely end of my career, as well as the former president, Donald Trump. Their actions that day caused the injuries that I sustained, and the lies that former president peddled caused me to speak out, and that brought about the end of my career. It was. It was a complicated decision. There wasn't just one factor that resulted in me resigning from the police department. But I think it's important to note that from the get-go, my intention was to return to full duty, which I did, and resign from the department in a full duty status. That was important to me, not to diminish other officers who resigned or who were retired as a result of the injuries that they sustained that day. But I didn't want to hear shit from anybody regarding, me having taken a medical retirement. So I returned to full duty and I resigned. I don't receive any type of pension from the police department, nor do I receive any medical benefits from the police department. Hell, I didn't even leave there with the shirt on my back because I had to turn that into the property division when I left. But that was my decision, and I'm proud of the way that I handled my resignation from the Metropolitan Police Department. Yeah, so I delivered my victim impact statement, and I as I've been throughout this process, I was honest in my experiences, not only on that day, but in the days after January 6th. And I think the Judge Jackson, was understanding of what I've dealt with as a result of my participation in the defense of the Capitol on January 6th. And when I was walking back from the podium delivering my victim impact statement, an individual who was seated with other relatives of Mr. Young stood up and called me a piece of shit. He was quickly escorted out of the courtroom and then out of the court building by the U.S. Marshals. But I think it's important for the American people to understand that we have a lot of the family members and a lot of the defendants in these cases that are expressing a degree of remorse in order to hopefully gain some leniency from the sentencing judge, as was in this case. Mr. Young expressed some degree of remorse. His mother stood up and tried to apologize to me in the courtroom. And then later on, as I was leaving the courthouse, his mother and several other individuals who were seated with her in the courtroom, again, called me a piece of shit. So I think it's just another example of a January 6th defendant begging for leniency, but in reality, there's no remorse there. There's no remorse for their actions. And so I'm, I feel that the sentence that was handed down by the judge was sufficient, which was 86 months. And that is the maximum sentence under the guidelines that were sought by the government.